Pattern development, draping. The development of a garment comprises of different processes. Design and fit is the most important factor leading to the final acceptance or rejection of a garment. Construction of good customized garment depends on the pattern making. Pattern making is an art. It is the art of manipulating and shaping a flat piece of fabric to conform to one or more curves of the human figure. Pattern making is a bridge function between design and production. A sketch can be turned into a garment via a pattern which interprets the design in the form of the garment components. A pattern is flat while the body is not. The body has height, width and depth. Darts are the basis of all pattern making. They convert the flat piece of cloth into a three-dimensional form, which fits the curves of the body. Pattern making involves three methods: drafting, draping, and flat pattern making. Drafting. In this method, the pattern is made with measurements derived from sizing systems or accurate measurements taken on a person, dress, or body form. Measurements for chest, waist, hip, and so on, and ease allowances are marked on paper, and construction lines are drawn to complete the pattern. Draping. It involves the wrapping of a two-dimensional piece of fabric, usually muslin fabric, around a dress form, conforming to its shape, creating a three-dimensional fabric pattern. After a designer has reached the desired look, this muslin is transferred to paper to be used as a final pattern. Ease allowances for movement are added to the pattern to make the garment comfortable to wear. Flat paper pattern making. It involves the development of a fitted basic pattern from a sloper. Sloper is a simple pattern that fits the body with just enough ease for movement and comfort. 5 basic slopers used for women's clothing are bodice front and bodice back with darts, and a basic neckline, a sleeve, and skirt front and back with darts. These basic slopers are then manipulated to create fashions. In this video, we are discussing about the draping and steps to develop a basic bodice pattern through draping method pattern making. Draping, an overview and history. Draping is a process of transforming a clothing design into a three-dimensional form. It is the most ancient and widespread form of clothing. The art of draping dates back to 3500 BC, beginning with the Mesopotamians and ancient Egyptians. Ancient Greek clothing was created by draped silhouettes like the chiton, peplos, chlamys, and himation. Ancient Romans invented the toga, a lengthy fabric that wraps and drapes around. Many visual arts of the Romans and Indian sculptures, terracottas, cave paintings, and wood carvings representing men and women show the same unstitched clothes with various wrapping and draping styles. Uttariya and Antariya are few evident clothing items of draped garments from the Vedic period. Kasaya, another rectangular piece of the Buddhist robe, is a real example of the draped garment. Throughout the ages, clothing was categorized as either fitted or draped. A fitted garment would be sewn together and worn close to body, in contrast to a draped garment which doesn't require sewing. In today's fashion world, both fitted and draped garments can be patterned using the draping process. Fashion draping. Fashion draping is an important part of fashion design. Draping for fashion design is the process of positioning and pinning fabric on a dress form to develop the structure of a garment design. A garment can be draped using a design sketch as a basis, or a fashion designer can play with the way fabric falls to create new designs at the start of the apparel designing process. After draping, the fabric is removed from the dress form and used to create the sewing pattern. Draping manipulates fabric directly on the dress form in 3 dimensions. It is the most creative way of the designer to design ideas into reality. It is used in the fashion industry to create a pattern for a particular design. Draping, tools and materials required. Draping is usually done on a dress form using cloth and pins. The materials and tools required for draping are dress forms or mannequin. A dress form is a full-scale replica of a human body. In the fashion industry, it is rarely referred to as mannequin, which is a display pinnable form. Dress form is must when designing with draping method. A dress form may be a basic size, that is small, medium, large or extra large, and then be adjustable within those ranges to different sizes. Mannequin marking terms: SH, shoulder line; NB, neckband; armhold or arm scale; PL, princess line; apex or BP, bust point; BL, bust line; CF, center front; SS, side seam; WL, waistline. Pins. These are used for fixing the fabric on the dress form. Muslin. Designs can be draped in the actual end-use fabric or in a substitute fabric, but most often they are draped in a fabric known as muslin. Muslin, a woven cotton fabric that comes in a variety of weights, is normally used for draping. When choosing the muslin, it is best to pick the muslin that has the similar weight to the fashion fabric. Draping tools: scissors, French curve, hip curve, marking chalk, pencils, grade ruler, dark colored quill tape, measuring tape, tracing wheel, etc. are the tools required for draping. Principles of draping: always use grain lines. Straight grain should always run perpendicular to the floor and cross grain parallel to the floor. The body lines such as bust line, waistline, hip line, etc. should be parallel to the floor. Use good quality pens that do not lose shape easily. Establish seam lines on the form. Tear the muslin piece instead of cutting. Check the balance of the warp and the weft. Mark grain line on muslin. Mark cross grain at the fullest part of the dress form. Place the muslin on the form as per the marked lines. Place it in position with pins. Pin the fabric to the form at the seams. Never pull the fabric and distort the grain. Darts, pleats, tucks, etc. need to be pinned. Drape all pieces of the garment. Mark all lines clearly. Mark curved seams with small dots at frequent intervals. Mark darts, pleats and tucks where they cross seam lines with an X mark. Draping process. Draping is used as a method of pattern making. The steps for making pattern of basic bodies through draping method are discussed here. Preparing the dress form. Mark all major points and seams to create guidelines for the garment. Apply style tape to the fullest point of the bust, starting at the center front to the side seam. Center front from neck point to center front waist. Repeat with the smallest part of the waist and widest hip point and shoulder line. Preparing muslin fabric. Select suitable muslin or fabric. Iron the fabric to make handling and marking easy and accurate. Tear along the grain for perfectly squared off block. Use the cutting and marking tools that we gathered from above to mark grain line and other important points of reference. Steps of draping process. Pin the center front region of the muslin cloth to the center front line of the dress form, starting from the neck all the way down to the waist. Now, when we look to the rest of the bodice at the neck region, we may notice some pullouts. So clip down slightly to get rid of that pullouts or tensions. Pin it around the neck. Smooth down the fabric along the shoulder. Never pull tightly, only smooth down. Then pin at the shoulder. Then smooth the fabric along the side seam. Then pin it along the side seam till the waist. Extra wrinkles in the front should be converted to dart. Fold these wrinkles and pin it up to the apex area. Waist dart and a shoulder dart can be made. In order to avoid slight pulling at the waist area, Clip the fabric slightly at the waist. This helps to release tension. Finally, mark the waist, side seam, dart, neck, shoulder and armhole using pen or pencil. Then cut the excess fabric at the side. Now we have draped the basic bodice. Carefully remove the fabric from the dress form. Mark the lines clearly and complete the lines using straight ruler and mark the curves, armhole and neck with French curve. Transferring to patterns. All the markings in the muslin must be carefully transferred to the pattern paper using tracing wheel or carbon paper. Complete the marking on the paper with a ruler or marker. Finish the patterns with necessary informations like grain line, BP, CF and fold symbol. Add proper marking and notches to the pattern. Bodice block can be stitched and check the fit before the final pattern. Draping advantages. Designers love the art of draping because their designs come to life as they manipulate the fabric on the dress form. Even though a designer may start out with a design sketch, during the draping process, a new and more interesting design usually takes shape. This is why draping is considered the more creative method of pattern making. The advantages of draping are: it gives a fashion designer an overview of how a garment will look before making the final decisions before production. Draping allows the designer to get a feel of the fabric as the fabric is draped on the form. It is a three-dimensional method. The design can be visualized while draping and any necessary changes can also be made. This helps the designer to achieve the difficult designs by draping different fabrics. For some designs such as cowls, this method alone can offer good results. Draping enables the designer to make better choices when considering the suitability of a particular fabric to its design. Conclusion. Draping helps the students of fashion design for the creation of basic pattern and then advance to more complex designs through practice. By directly working with the fabric on the form also helps to understand every adjustment and provides a better understanding of drafting, which is making the pattern based on body measurements. It is considered an important skill for upcoming designers because it teaches the art of putting a piece of clothing together on a dress form before creating a sketch. In current scenario, fashion designers use the technique of draping to create designs in apparel business. Therefore, it is considered as an important of any fashion studies.